Hi, everybody. I'm Carly Smith here with Rob Washburn for this week's CAA football. 3 things to watch. Believe it or not, we're now past the halfway mark of the CAA football regular season, a season that has proven to have its fair share of upsets, overtime thrillers, explosive offenses, consistent defenses, and some spectacular special teams performances as well. Rob, thank goodness we still have a really long way to go. And this week, let's start by highlighting an offense that brings the juice week in and week out. Monmouth. The Hawks are riding a 4-game winning streak, but will go on the road this weekend to face a conference foe in Maine. The Black Bears just collected their first win of the season, which was also Jordan Stevens' first victory at the helm of the program, so I have a feeling the guys in Orono are ready to string together some wins here.
Carly, the Monmouth Offense is one of the most explosive in FCS, with the Hawks having scored 35 or more points in their last 5 games. What makes them so difficult to defend is they can beat you in a variety of ways. Incredibly, after 6 games, the Hawks have 1,477 yards on the ground and 1,477 yards through the air, so you can't get more balanced than that. They feature the nation's leading rusher in Jaden Sheridan, the second leading scorer in FCS in Owen Wright, a quarterback who's thrown a TD pass in 21 straight games in Tony Muskett, and a receiver with back-to-back 100-yard games in Dymere Miller. Trying to slow them down will be Maine and its vaunted black hole defense. The Black Bears picked off 3 passes in last Saturday's victory at Hampton, including an interception in the end zone by Austin Ambush with a minute to go. They have veteran players on that side of the ball with seniors Adrian Otero, Justin Sambu, and Brian Lee, and their ability to limit the big play and slow the Hawks down will be critical if Maine is going to pick up a win on homecoming.
Yep, here's what Maine's Jordan Stevens and Monmouth's Kevin Callahan had to say about this Week 7 conference matchup.
They're able to run the ball really in any situation, which, as I mentioned before, anytime you can do that, I feel like that's just something the team feeds off. And Tony Muskett's been outstanding. His ability to put the ball in tight windows, make throws all over the field, access throws as well. You have to defend the entire field.
And I think what you see from them on the defensive side is they, especially in this last game, they started creating turnovers. They had what I believe was 3 interceptions in the Hampton game. They're shutting down the other team's offense. They're giving the ball back to their own offense, and they're very stout up front in their front 7.
Now for our second thing to watch, it's homecoming weekend in Kingston, Rhode Island. And after a bye week, the rested number 25 Rhode Island squad will face a huge challenge against a simmering hot number 14 Elon team that's won 5 straight prior to heading north.
Carly, when you look at these 2 teams, it's easy to focus on the offenses. Both average 30 points per game, feature excellent quarterbacks in Matthew McKay and Kasim Hill, solid rushing attacks, and talented receivers. But what I'll be watching is the defenses, especially how they perform in the second half. In their 5 games against FCS opponents, the Phoenix have given up only 9 points on 3 field goals in the second half. Leading that group are senior linebackers Marcus Hillman and Devontae Chandler, who have combined for 78 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and 5 forced fumbles. Now, fumbles are a big stat to keep an eye on because Elon leads the nation with 9 recoveries. Rhode Island has been nearly as impressive, holding all 4 of its FCS opponents to 7 points or less in the second half. Linebacker Jake Fire has recorded 10 or more tackles in his last 3 games and tops the team with 5 tackles for loss. Led by Jordan Jones, the Rams have intercepted 6 passes, and their defensive front is averaging over 2.5 sacks per game. It'll be interesting to see if both defenses can continue their second half success on Saturday.
Here are Elon's Tony Trisciani and Rhode Island's Jim Fleming on Saturday's showdown.
Defensively, they're strong at all 3 levels, really. James Maxon, Wesley Neal, if he's back this week, they're like all CAA performers. Evan Stewart and Jake Fire, they're sideline to sideline productive linebackers, and Jordan Jones is an All-American candidate on the back end. And
you really don't look at rankings. You don't look at where you're at until the end of the year, because each and every week it's going to be a dogfight. And we got 6 of them, and I don't care whether it's, this weekend or the last weekend. They're all very, very talented football teams and working to get better each week. And like I said, you got to stay healthy, you got to stay on point, and you got to keep getting better each and every week. And then you just count on your execution and your foundation to carry you through to the finish line.
On to our third thing to watch. Another top 25 FCS matchup happens right in our own backyard. The number 21 Richmond Spiders host number 17 Villanova for yet another tough matchup that could potentially, like all of these games, have playoff implications later on down the road.
Yeah, the Spiders and Wildcats enter the game both 3-2 overall and 1-1 in the CAA, so there's no question this game will have a big impact on the race for the conference title. Both teams have prolific passing attacks with strong-armed, accurate quarterbacks and a fleet of quality receivers, but they do it in different ways. Guiding the Richmond offense is Reese Udinsky, who leads the nation with 33 completions per game and has completed an incredible 77% of his throws, which is also the best in FCS. He gets the ball out quick and spreads it around to the CA's top 3 players in receptions, Josiah Williams, Leroy Henley, and Jacob Harris. Udinsky has 13 touchdown passes and rarely turns it over with 1 interception. Now on the other side is Villanova's Conor Watkins. He's second in the CAA, completing 67% of his passes, but has only thrown it 84 times in 5 games. The Wildcats like to go for the big play as Watkins leads FCS in yards per completion and has connected on 10 passes of 40 yards or more, including 5 of at least 60 yards. Wide receiver Jaron Hayek has topped the 100-yard mark in 4 of his 5 games. Des Boykin is averaging 29 yards per catch, and Rajon Pringle is an All-CA standout. The trios combined for 11 touchdown receptions. Both passing games have been successful, and it'll be fun to watch the contrasting styles at Robins Stadium.
It sure will be fun. Let's listen to what Villanova's Mark Ferrante and Richmond's Russ Huseman had to say about this top 25 matchup.
You know, the bottom line is just be patient because they're going to get their yards and he's going to have his completions and those types of things. So, you know, we just got to be patient when they have the opportunity to come up and make a play on the ball, come up and make a play on the ball. And if they gain 4 yards, okay, it's 2nd and 6, line up for the next play and go from there.
They're scary good. Just like you said, it starts with the quarterback. And, you know, he's kind of been waiting in the wings right there. And they've been taking advantage of big plays. I mean, they're getting their wideouts are getting behind the secondary, getting open deep, and he's putting it on them. They've got 3 really good wideouts that are as good as anybody in the league.
Well, Rob, the conference race is wide open, and I believe what we heard last week will stand true for this one. We're about to see what CAA football is all about. Make sure you follow along on social media at CAA Football for coverage throughout the weekend and visit CAAfootball.com for everything you need to know and more. Enjoy the weekend.